Okay, welcome everybody. We're finding ourselves in the next round of the simGT series for the South African Sim Racing 2019.2 season. And this race, we find ourselves at the beautiful Road America. We look forward to it. Unfortunately, you guys are stuck with me only, Daniel Haynes, tonight on commentary. Our good friend Jason is not feeling too great. His vocal cords aren't quite up to the job. So I'm hoping all of you guys can help me out. So anyone that's watching in the chat, please keep me entertained, send me some questions. Road America, watch this race together, hopefully have a good time. Got any questions, put them through and I'll answer them. Any mentions, I'll do that as well. And we've got something to look forward to. So it should be very competitive. I was looking through on the timings from the last time in the last season when we were at Road America, 2019.1 season. Pole position that time round, no surprise, was Jim Clark, and it was a 203 dead, 203.037. So that's sort of the times we're looking at for pole position this time round. Possibly, I've heard of a few drivers getting into the 202s for the first time. So if someone sets a 202 time, it's looking very, very good for pole position. So we'll see how we get on there. Despite that, and no doubt the midfield pack will be extremely tight, maybe in the high 203s, 204 times, but it's, as always, going to be extremely competitive. So just waiting for the drivers to come around on their first flying lap, start setting some timing screens alive. Let's stick with Jadwat to see what he's capable of on his first flying lap. So Jadwat crosses the line already with a 203.6, and Jim Clark's right past him with a 203 dead once again. So he's matching his time from the last race out. So that actually, by 2/100ths of a second, beats his pole position time from last season. So very, very strong first lap by Jim Clark. Marcus Stain also in with an excellent first lap, 203.3. Let me just cut to him. Looks like he's on for a second fly already, up on his delta. Wesley Front with a great time, 204.0. He's first time in the Division 1, I think, this season. He was promoted from Division 2 race, along with Raymond Duggan from the last round at Donington. So it's good to see that he's already being promoted and straight up into the top 5. Interesting, we've got Marcus Stain still up on his delta. That second position. Seems to have just lost a bit of time in the carousel, but a good clean exit. Got Jonathan Bentz joining us as well. He's actually taken the position of Mark Henbury, who earned promotion from the Division 2 race last time out, but couldn't make this evening. So he's stepped in the Ghostworks team to be Jadwat's partner for tonight. So we'll see how he gets on in this race. Jim Clark's 2/10 up on his delta. This could be the first 202 time we've seen. 202.781. What a time there by Jim Clark. That's going to be incredibly tough to beat. First driver I've seen in the 202s. Tim Haynes has just popped up 203.9. Sterner's 203.6 as well. It's a brilliant time to get third position. Let's have a pop around and see who else is on a flyer. Nick Hodgson here, 4/10 up on his delta. A great exit out of the last corner. 6/10 up. This should move him up quite a few positions. I beg your pardon, he's not on the last corner, it's a wrong straight. He's coming down into turn 5. Still up relatively early in his lap, but he's certainly way up as he had a very good first sector. We'll just stick with him and see how he copes with the second half of the lap. Half a tenth up could potentially put them into third or fourth position. Christoph Langenfeld's just gone into third at 2:03.6. Nick's continuing to gain time on his delta. Coming down the back straight into turn 12. Difficult one and very easy to lose time here if you don't get a clean exit out. But Nick's on a bit of a flyer, 7 tenths up. And now we're on the final corner, where unfortunately he has lost quite a bit of time, but he's got a clean exit, starting to gain it back on the last drag to the line. Where will this put Nick? Thinking sort of 4th or 5th position. No, he goes 3rd. Brilliant lap there by Nick Hodgson, 2:03.56. Let's see who else we can find. Turkey Swanepoel just coming up to the end of his lap, also improved on his delta, so the track's certainly getting quicker. Not quite enough, I don't think, to get him into the 2:03s, but will certainly gain him a couple of places. Yes, 9th position of the 2:04.0. I don't think anyone's really going to challenge Jim Clark for that pole position with a 2:02. Certainly a superb time. Certainly under the pressure of only 15 minutes in qualifying. It's quite easy to do it when you've, or might be easier to do it when you've got an hour of practice. But under the high pressure with a full track, that's an impressive time. So you're interested to see who the last 3 drivers will be, because the bottom 3 drivers, as we know, in qualifying will be demoted down to Division 2 in the final round at Brands Hatch. So they'll be keen not to be in those last 3 places. Chris Heineke finds himself there at the moment, but we're following him now, and he is well up on his delta, so that should get him out of that drop zone. If he can keep the rest of the lap clean. Through the difficult carousel now. Always feels forever on this carousel, knowing when to get back on the power. If you get on too early, you end up compromising your exit. That's not been the case for Chris. He's got a good exit there. He's kept his 5 tenths up. Oh, superb exit. Look at this. 1 second gained on his delta. Just the sort of effort he wants to get out of that drop zone, and it's not going to be a problem at all, no matter what happens on this last corner, I don't think. Might even see him in a 2:03, Chris Heineke. Maybe just short, 2:04.0. Yeah, that moves him up into 10th position. Well done, Chris. So we've got Governor, Van Sale and Duggan now in the drop zone. See whether any of those are on a quicker lap. Duggan's just leaving the pits. And Sale's on a start of a lap, so we'll cut back to him a little bit later. Looks like Jim Clark's happy with his time. He's staying in the pits. Who could blame him? Only 1 lap needed. Steven Sparks is currently up on his delta. Still quite early in the lap, though. Endron Govender needs to try and gain not a lot. He only needs a tenth to get out of those bottom 3 positions. Still quite early again, still in his lap. Didn't see Christopher Langerfeld's lap, but he's got himself up into 4th position with a strong 2:03.6. Still got a bit of time in himself, though, because last season his qualifying time was a 2:03.4, so there's still a couple of tenths there. He'll be looking to still try and improve. That's why he's still out on track. Just trying to see what's happened to Jadwa. He's not on my timing screen. Has he left the server? To try and keep an eye on that. He's certainly on at the start. We watched him cross the line, so I'm not 100% sure he's dropped off the timing screen, so we'll keep an eye there. Because that could be very interesting for as far as the solo championship is concerned. Jim Clark obviously isn't happy with his time, thinks he can improve. 2:02.6. Well, Nick Hodgson's on a great lap. 3 tenths up. This could be fighting for 2nd place here. Huge improvement over last season. He qualified last time out with a 2:03.99. So he's gained a lot of time. Always just pushed it a bit too far. That's a shame. from the front. Putting a lot of pressure under Christian Langeveld. He's going to try and gain this place back on this front straight. Just made a mistake into turn one. We said it. If anyone can put pressure on him in that first corner, it's their opportunity to gain places and really change this race. Marcus, in the meantime, is going to be enjoying this because he's certainly consistent at the front, pulling away a bit of a gap from Christopher Langeveld. Nick behind is also chasing. Heineke and Swanepoel have swapped places as Heineke's now trying to recover those that he lost from when he went wide. Jim Clark's managed to make a move on Christopher Langeveld. Up to second position, defending that place. So he's recovered one of the spots, but he's still got a 1.5 second gap now to try and catch back up to Marcus. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Farrant was the one that got caught up. Yeah, we can see the damage there on the front of that BMW. So that was the iCore Racing team meetup, unfortunately. It was Sterner, wasn't it? Yes. Sterner and Farrant there that joined together. Caused a bit of carnage at the start. Both is quite close up behind Timothy Haynes. Raymond Duggan also incredibly tight to Oliphant and is putting a pass on. Oliphant's got the inside line. No, well done. Raymond Duggan's managed to make that pass stick. Moved up into 14th place. Got Nick Hodgson now closing up behind Langeveld, who's dropped off the back of Clark, had a poor lap there, the 2:06, nearly a second and a half down. Lost quite a significant chunk of time. It's allowed Nick to close that gap, and Jim's really trying to pick up the pace and catch Stain in first place. Meanwhile, both are still putting pressure on Timothy. This is the good long straight to try and get close behind in the draft. Managed to close down to 3/10. We've had Henbury make a move on Geldnes. Move up into 10th position. And Jonathan Bentz on Van Sale has also jumped a position. Meanwhile, back at the front, this could be interesting to watch. We've got Jim Clark is definitely catching Marcus. Marcus is pushing incredibly hard. Saw him go wide there. Got that gap down now to only 6/10. I think Marcus is going to find himself under quite a lot of pressure. Let's just go on board with Jim Clark and do a flying lap around this 6.5 kilometer circuit here at Road America. So we've got the long main straight as we've got to go into turn one. Very difficult braking point into turn one. You've got to try and carry as much speed as possible. You're looking at the reference boards on the left-hand side, trying to brake around the 3 board here. carry as much speed, drift out wide to the left-hand side. Don't want to go too wide, though, because these sausage curbs can sometimes upset the car if you go right over them. This is technically turn 2 in the middle. This is turn 3. Hard to catch that apex perfectly, but you've got plenty of runoff space on the outside. Small kink turn 4 in the middle of this straight. You don't even notice it, dead flat, not a worry at all. Come down the hill into a very difficult braking zone, very hard braking zone on this circuit. Looking maybe at the reference board, braking just after the 4 board. Go wide. Once again, we've got plenty of runoff on the right-hand side to really push. Jim Clark did that excellent push and catch and staying well. Very difficult corner turn 5. Turn 6 over the brow. If you brake on the brow, it can lose the back end quite easy. Easy flat through turn 7. Down now into turn 8. Looking at the reference board on the right, braking around the 2 marker. And then we enter the very difficult carousel. Technically turns 9 and 10, but really one just big, long turn. And you're trying to feather that throttle in, concentrating mostly on getting good exit speed, not going on the power too early. Turn 11, the kink, easy flat through here, just making sure you don't scrub too much speed off, trying to keep a clean line. Down into Canada corner, turn 12. Again, difficult braking zone, looking at the 3 board on the left-hand side as a reference point. Plenty of runoff space here on exit, though. You see Marcus taking plenty of space there. Turn 13, easy flat once again, making sure you don't scrub. And then final braking area, 14. Exit incredibly important as you go up the main drag to cross the line. Jim Clark gained a couple of tenths on Marcus, looking close at 2 tenths. Marcus taking the inside line, try and cover that off. Could compromise his exit into turn 1. And Jim going for the normal driving line. I think the braking zone at turn 5 here at the bottom of this hill is where we'll probably look for a pass to happen. Be brave on the brakes. Audi's got good straight line speed though. Not enough there for Jim to send one up the inside. Got the inside into turn 6 though. But Marcus is going to keep control. This is brilliant driving from both drivers. Side by side now into turn 8. Marcus just about managing to keep him behind through the carousel. Back on board with Jim Clark, hounding the back of that Audi. Marcus is keeping very well composed so far. Just wants to cover this inside line. Jim's got a run on him. It's like later on the brakes. Very, very tight there. Great driving by Marcus not to make contact. This is a great battle. This is exactly what we want to see at the front. Marcus still in control. He's not braking under any pressure. Defending when he needs to and keeping the lines when he also needs to. Great driving. Once again down this back straight, we're looking in the braking zone of turn 5. Just doesn't seem like the BMW is quite matching the straight line speed. Struggling to get up tight enough. Here he is, he's trying to send one, but he's never quite got enough there. Bit risky to just dive bomb up that inside line into turn 5. He's going to have to find it elsewhere. He seems to be quicker in this middle sector, but it's not many overtaking opportunities here. Well, we're only 7 laps in, guys. I'm not sure this can carry on for 42, but it'll be epic if it does. Marcus is driving brilliantly here. It's like a man possessed. Let's have another look on bonnet cam. Jim's just struggling to find a way past. Marcus has not made a mistake. Jim's been quite patient. Yeah, certainly in the straights, that BMW may be running a little bit more aero because it's not picking up the draft to an extent that you can really make a move towards the end, and you would expect that here. And the longer this goes on, the more confident Marcus will be in his ability to keep him behind. Certainly knows the corners he doesn't have to worry about and which ones he does. Still 3/10 behind. Go into this turn 5, but Clark just doesn't have the straight line speed to put a move on into that braking zone. It's very, very quick on the exit though. This could be a pass here. Yes, made the pass into 7. Can he hold it? It's gone wide. Marcus is on the outside, sorry. I think Clark's got that pass made. He has indeed. In the meantime, Langeveld's come from nowhere. Might snatch second place. Marcus has held on to that, only just, and Hodgson's also in the mix. So all that fighting keeping Clark behind has allowed these two to really catch up to the pack. We've got a 4-way battle now for first. Hodgson putting Langeveld under pressure. Clark, now he's managed to get past, has put half a second on Stain, so he's got that clean air. You don't want to give him too much of that because we know from the previous races that he makes you pay. So these 4 now just spread out just a little bit. We'll certainly be keeping our eye on there. In the meantime, what have we missed? I think Tim Haynes has gained a position and is very tight up behind both. The 2/10s could be making a move here into turn 1. Audi certainly looks like it's got better straight line speed in the Ghostworks setup. We saw that with Stain. Certainly the Ghostworks setup running a bit skinny wing, I think. Yeah, managed to make that pass made. Both are fighting back on the inside. It's a good battle here. Kept the inside line into turn 2. Can he hold it? Tim's around the outside. Now both has got that position back. Tim will be straight back at him though in the draft. Braking zone into turn 5. So that's what Clark couldn't manage to do against Stain. So Ghostworks setup certainly quick down the straights, making it a lot easier for passes to be made. So that's a good position made by Haynes. Heineken now is also going to be putting both under pressure. Another Ghostworks in a bit of a Ghostworks sandwich. So got Nick Hodgson continually to hound the back of that AMG. So Nick in previous races has always managed to find himself in a bit of trouble at the start and then having to recover. It's nice to see him get a consistent start, and he's fighting already from the front. He always has found pace towards the middle and the end of the race. A podium position is certainly not out of the question for Nick this evening. Geldnes has made a move on Henbury. And has got that pass stuck. Who else have we got position-wise? Probably the closest battle on track at the moment is Nick on the back of Langevel. And also Heineke on both, though, who's 7/10 quicker in that lap. So he's certainly closing. Tim's managed to pull away in front of both us. So we've got pressure from behind. We know that Ghostworks car's quick down the straight. So if we can get within 3/10 at the start, he's going to be in a good position come the braking zone of turn 5. Not quite close enough on this lap, but he did gain nearly 2/10 on that straight. Both are certainly feeling the pressure. He outbraked himself there, went wide. This could leave the door open for Chris on the inside. Oh, he's touched the back and turned himself round. He's right in the danger's way there as well. He wants to be careful on his track rejoin. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's got to be careful in that corner. It's a difficult corner anyway, turn 7. You've got a crest and you're braking on the top of the crest. It's very easy to spin the car there, but I think that was purely because his front was touched. Yeah, I think Jim Clark, you're quite right, Bash. He's broken slip. He's off in the distance. He made an uncharacteristic error on turn 1, which made the race interesting for him. He certainly had to fight for it, but he's clocking some good times now. Last time round was 2:03.9, which is the fastest lap by quite a considerable margin, by 6/10 on track. So I fear he could be off in the distance. How's Nick doing? Hodgson still half a second behind. Seems to stabilise that gap. Very, very consistent driving throughout the top, as you would expect. It's always right up there in the 98, 99% for most drivers in Division 1. Can't really wait for mistakes. You've got to make passes. Harrant's made a pass on Raymond Duggan. Get up to 14th position. He's on a bit of a recovery. Looks like he's got a bit of damage to that BMW from his only teammate tap, unfortunately. If you want to hit someone, you don't want to make it your teammate if you can help it. Nick's a little bit closer at 3/10 behind Langevel. Smallest gap on field at the moment. So in all this interest of the start of the race, I didn't check to see if there was anyone on some interesting strategies. Let's have a quick look. We've got Geldnes on the softs and Raymond Duggan on the softs. Stephen Sparks also on the softs, and that's it. So it's a track that really is one-stop mediums, isn't it? We've done it so many times now. It takes a brave man to try and break that mold, to be honest. It's proven to work. So everyone's pretty much on the mediums. We'll see how Geldnes copes with those softs. Probably it's going to struggle later on unless he's planning a 2-stopper. Also Raymond Duggan as well on the softs. So Hodgson's just dropped back off of Langevel a little bit. 8/10 behind. Let's see whether there's any other battles. Heineke's closing back up after his spin. He's going to be trying to regain some places. Got Dirkie Swanepoel in front of him. Only half a second behind. Should be closing because he's certainly got better pace than this, Heineke. So I expect him to gain places back if he can keep it clean. He's right in the draft here. Is closing. Delta's closing quick. 2/10. Is he going to be able to send it up? Maybe not. Wants to be a little bit wary he doesn't make the same mistake and take too much curb on 6 again. Grab the curb and brake and you will spin. That's much cleaner through there. I don't think he'll be making a pass on that corner for the rest of the race. Heineke's hounding the back of Swanepoel now. I think he just needs to bide his time. He doesn't need to push the issue. We know that car's quick in a straight line. I don't think he needs to worry about sector 2. Just want to try and make sure he gets a good, clean exit out of the final corner and then gets him on the long drag. But it doesn't appear like he's listening to me. It's going to outbrake him instead. Here we go. Good clean exit out of here, and he'll have an opportunity to pass into turn 1, I would have thought. Let's watch him into turn 1. Sends it up the inside. Can he break it and make it stick? Swanepoel's not having any of it. Manages to keep that position. Heineke's got it onto turn 2 though. Side by side, I think this must be job done down this back straight. No. Tucks in behind again, Swanepoel. Side by side into this braking zone. Swanepoel's got the inside line though. Well, these two are having a real scrap. Heineke can't seem to keep the pass stick. Oh, and he's made a mistake. He tapped the back of him and it spent him round again. Oh, that's unfortunate. Just maybe a little bit impatient there, but they had so many corners where they were side by side. Difficult to try and avoid contact for that long. He's dropped back into 16th place now. A lot of places to gain. He'll be angry with himself, I'm sure. Oh, and is he span again, Heineke? Just when I was switching cameras. I think he's maybe spun those tyres a bit too much now, I'm afraid. Yeah, unfortunately Heineke's had enough and exited the server. That's a real shame because he certainly had the pace for a good result. Let's see what else is going on. We've got Raymond Duggan, 13th position, 8/10 behind Farrant. Bash, it wasn't Commentator's curse. Oh dear. Anyone else you want me to commentate on? Let me know. I'll put them on camera and we'll watch them spin. Let's go to Jim Clark, see what he can do. I don't think we'll be so lucky. Devon Lisher, I've not spoken about him so far on this stream. He's been very quiet, but he's got himself up into 5th position. So he's certainly having a nice clean race. No scratches on his AMG. That's encouraging sign. Trying to close the gap to Hodgson in front of him. sort of consistent gaps now starting to work their way through the field. No one's super close. We've got Jonathan Bent 7/10 behind Duggan. Let's see whether he can, he's closing Raymond Duggan down. I'm sure he's sharing the Ghostwork Audi setup, so we know it's quick in a straight line. No need to push the matter. Just trying to get a good exit out of the final corner, turn 12, or 14, sorry. And then the long drag up the hill. McLaren is down on straight line speed anyway with its BOP figures, so... Riding on board now with Jonathan. Oh, Raymond's just made a mistake. He's got the back end out. Jonathan did very well to miss that. So unfortunately, Duggan has spun, and that sent him down a couple of places. Dropped down to 16th. So easy to drop it into turn one. You're just pushing that braking zone. Leave the brakes on a little bit too much when you trail brake, and that back end steps out. In the meantime, Jim Clark, our pro driver, is just running away with it at the front. 5-second gap. His heart was pounding for a few laps at the start. Marcus did everything he could to keep him behind for as long as he could. But is still having a superb drive in second position. Seems to have made that his own. He's managed to clear a gap from Langeveld in front of him. Not too many places. Where can we go now for some entertainment? Let's look at Farrant, who's behind Swanepoel. So Farrant is certainly in the toe of Swanepoel's McLaren. Closing quite quickly into turn one. Not quite close enough to put a move, but certainly will be into the braking zone of turn 5. Happy to just sit behind at the moment, I think. We've certainly seen quite a few drivers make a few errors when they're under pressure. Sometimes in a 90-minute race, it's better just to be patient for a few laps rather than force the issue. Raymond Duggan's just pitted, possibly in his spin he's cooked his tyres. I think he was one of our drivers on the soft tyre, so that might be on a 2-stop strategy. Let's just see where he is. Yeah, he's moved on to the mediums now. Cowden has also a soft tyre runner. Certainly would think that those tyres would start to feel a bit second-hand after 20 laps. Lamborghini can be a bit of a handful as it is. So I'd expect him maybe to be pitting shortly. Aaron still has actually dropped off Swanepoel a little bit here. Struggling to keep behind the McLaren. Apparently Bash reckons Lambo can do a full stint on soft, so what do I know? Certainly not when I'm driving, Bash. I can probably manage about 15 laps. Yeah, I think it's a Canada corner because Road America is pretty close to the border of Canada, isn't it? Right at the top of the states. Maybe it overhangs state lines. This is still the closest battle we've got on track at the moment. We're patiently waiting, I think, for the pit stop phases to come through. We've got Govender's got past Van Sale, but that gap closed quickly, so I think Van Sale must have made a mistake. Yeah, I think Van Sale must have made an error there to let Govender through. Clarence continued to pile pressure on Swanepoel's McLaren. So it's about as close as he's been so far. 2/10 out of the exit. This has got to be his chance. Going into turn one, is going up side by side. Drag race into turn one. It's now who can get around the corner cleanly. Yeah, it's a great pass there by Fran. He bided his time, he was patient, didn't push the matter, waited until he got a good exit up the straight, and a nice clean pass, well done. So he'll be now pushing on to try and catch Henry because there's a big gap of 10 seconds to 10th position. Seeing where everyone else is, they're quite comfortably sat, all with sort of small gaps within each other. Sterner is just closing up behind Lisher. It's a second behind. Apparently, Heineke may have had a tap from the back. I was riding on board with him at the time, and he certainly hit the car in front. So whether he was pushed into him, I'm not sure. But it would explain how he lost traction. We'll have to go back on the replay. Unfortunately, we were riding on board. We weren't on TV cam, so we couldn't see the back of the car. Marcus, though, is having a great race. Sort of a bit lonely in second position, but I don't think he'll mind too much. If you offered him second at the start, I think he would have been quite happy with it. His fastest lap time is a 2:04.3, which is pretty epic in the Audi, to be honest. Only beaten by Jim Clark with a 2:03.8, which is pretty insane on mediums with race fuel. But Marcus is he's good value for his second place, that's for sure. I don't think he'll be under any pressure. He just needs to keep it consistent. And hopefully that'll be his spot by the end. Nick, still in fourth position. He's got close to Langeveld, but he seems to be happily sat there, maybe waiting for the pit stops and if that brings any changes. So Sterner on Lisher is at the moment our smallest gap. Yeah, Geldeners has pitted. So he's also not as good a driver as Bash and can manage the whole race on softs. He's pitted early, lap 19. Let's just see whether he's stayed on the softs. He has. So he's either going to do an extremely long stint with his second set of tyres. Probably will try and push it, I would have thought. He's got to get 23 laps out of those, whereas he decided to pit after 18. Let's drop back to Sterner in 6th position. He's now got that gap down to 7/10. Haven't seen much of Lisher in this race. I'm certainly not seen him under pressure, so we'll see how he copes with it. You would have thought the Mercedes would be quite strong here. Certainly Langeveldt up into 3rd, Lisher in 5th. It's a track that would suit the AMG, I would have thought. So the next couple of laps, we'll start to see everyone piling into the pits. Let's be honest, next lap, mediums, everyone in, all change. Let's see whether anyone makes any mistakes in the pit stops. See if there's any changes in position. So Geldness is the only car left on softs. No, Steven Sparks also on softs. I'm not sure Sparks has pitted yet. He's got 2 drivers in the softs, but it doesn't seem to be working out too well for him at the moment. Obviously, Geldness has pitted early though, hasn't he? So he should gain a few places in the pit stops. However, he is 27 seconds back behind 14th place, so possibly not. Sterner's gradually dropping that gap by 1/10 a lap. Dirk Brand did some Wikipedia for us. Road America is close to the Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 420 kilometers from the Canadian border. So no, it is pretty close. America's a big place. 420 kilometers, pretty close to Canada in my book. Maybe if you check the layout of the track, does Canada corner point to Canada? Someone will give us the answer, I'm sure. So here's the pit stops then. We've got Stein in from 2nd position, pitting. Langeveldt also in. Nick's decided to continue on and do another lap. Trying for the overcut, possibly. So we've got only 2 people pitting so far. Haynes has also continued on. So maybe get another lap out of it. So it's whether Langeveldt comes back out and Stein into traffic. This could really be a changing point here. If they come out in traffic and it slows them down, Hodgson's got a chance to jump a position here because the gap wasn't big at all. So seeing where they're coming out now certainly doesn't look ideal, does it? He's got Jonathan Bentz in front of him, Christopher Langeveldt. Marcus has managed to come out relatively clean. He's got a 3-second gap to Swanepoel. That will probably be sufficient for him because I can't imagine the other guys doing a significant amount of more laps before they pit. So it's just whether Jonathan Bentz holds out Christopher Langeveldt. This could be a chance for Nick Hodgson to gain a position. He's certainly putting a quick lap in. He's level on his best delta. In fact, he's slightly up on his best lap time. So that's certainly the intent of Nick Hodgson, to try and gain positions in the pit stops. He's going to put a personal best lap in here. Level on his personal best, which is, let's just have a look. So 204.7 is PB. Christopher Langeveldt's PB is a 204.8. So certainly, and he comes into pits. Will that quick outlap be enough? So we're looking to see whether he comes out in front of Christopher Langenfeld. This could be a position change for the podium position. Lischer is also pitted, Stern is pitted. Everyone's pitted now. So we just had Langenfeld and Stein pit 1 lap early. Whether the fresh tyres, but the high fuel you'd think would slow them down. Nick Hodgson's not quite leaving yet. This could be very, very close. Nick's coming out of the pits now. Langenfeld's just coming up the final straight. Very, very close. I think Nick might have done enough. Christopher Langenfeld coming at speed. Round the outside into turn 1. Oh, that's very close. Good effort there by Hodgson to try and jump a spot in the pit stops, but it wasn't quite enough, unfortunately. He's come out 3/10 behind. So Hodgson's back in the position he was. I don't think he's being very, very patient, but Langenfeld's not one to make mistakes. So I think he's going to have to force the issue at some point if he wants a podium this night. Had a question in chat, Benjamin. When does the next season start? And what division would I need to join? Well, we've got one more race in the 2019.2 season next month. The new season will be the 2020. It usually starts January or February. However, you can still sign up now. There's a couple of rounds of the Road to 2020, which is a great series if you're just starting. You can do a few easy races, no pressure. Learn a bit of racecraft, go onto the forums and you can get all the information on how to sign up even in this season later on. You're also welcome to join a GT race as well. But yeah, otherwise, the way the divisions work is before the next season starts, there will be a qualifying round where you have a week to set a time, and then based off your time, you'll be put into your divisions. And then you can still get promotion or demotion throughout the season, depending on how you qualify. Nick's now starting to force the issue on Langenfeld, 2/10 back. He knows he's got to make the pass on track. It's not going to be a strategy call that gets him a podium tonight. Oh, Langevelt's gone wide. And that's all that Nick needed. It actually did get a mistake after I said that you wouldn't get one. The mistake came, but then Nick was a bit leery on exit. And this has given Langeveld a chance to get a cleaner exit down this straight and got the pass back again. Looks like we're getting all the facts from Road America now. It's a great track. Everyone says I mean, a lot of American tracks can be a little bit one-dimensional, but there are so many good ones as well. This one's often called the Spa of America. If you think about it, you've got a big carousel, just like Spa. You've got long straights like Spa, big braking zones like the bus stop in Spa. Through the forest. Certainly a good driver's track. Plenty of corners. Not many American cars would be good at it. So this is still the battle we're most interested at the moment for the final podium position. It's just right on board with Hodgson. As Langeveld goes onto the grass a bit wide, Nick's got a good exit, closing in the draft. Langeveld's covering the inside line. Hodgson's going to have to send it around the outside if he wants to get a pass made. Side by side now into the braking zone of turn 1. Langeveld's covered that inside line, but has he managed to brake himself? Yes, he has. Good driving by both drivers there. Oh yeah, but Bash, if you get rid of the Corvettes, what else have you got? Nick send one up the inside into the braking zone, side by side into turn 7. Christopher Langeveld keeps that inside line. And don't you say the C8 Corvette. BMW seems to be quick in a straight line, which is surprising with the AMG power. Maybe Langeveld's running a bit more wing. Obviously, majorly in the draft. Certainly some tough racing between these two. No one's giving either much space. I think when you can name a Corvette C7 and then you've got to think way back to a Viper, I sort of made my point, really, haven't I? This right-hand bends, they're good at going left. This track's got too many right-handers. Maybe they should go around anti-clockwise. Nick's incredibly close. He knows he's got to force the issue, or he's pushed wide onto the grass. We've had the GT40 mentioned, but to be fair, that car was specifically designed for Le Mans, wasn't it? I didn't intend to race that in America. I think that's it. We make sure we always go clockwise around a track and we'll be fine as Europeans. Oh, Langevelt's gone wide onto the grass there. Cuts majorly across the track to make sure he gets the inside line. Nick's not having any of it. Certainly elbows out between these two. Sure. Just going to put this out there. These two are destined to meet, I think, at some point. Hopefully it won't end in tears. Oh yeah, Dirk's just pointed out some tracks. No doubt, there's some fantastic tracks in America. Laguna Seca, Road America, Road Atlanta, VIR. Cota's a brilliant track. In fact, most of the Formula One drivers say it's one of the best layouts that they have all year. So it's not just ovals. So it seems like Nick's made half a dozen passes and been Langevelt's forced the issue to keep his place, and then he has to recover again. Sebring I'm not so sure about. I know it is a good track, but sure, that almost breaks my arm with the direct drive wheel. So many bumps on that thing. It's like concreted in the 60s, I think. Maybe that's also a theme of American tracks. They like the bumps. We saw that at Cota yesterday. Never seen a suspension explode like that Ferrari. Certainly want to stick with this battle, I think. Looking on the timing screens, I haven't seen anyone move up significant places. I'm just seeing Geldnes in 9th position, though. Obviously, he pitted early, so he did gain places with that early pit stop. So we'll just keep an eye on where he finishes up. Yeah, Bash, I've got direct drive problems. My arms are weak. It's part of my gym training. Seriously though, if you get one, don't race Sebring. Langevelt's using all of the road and then a bit more. Nick's just trying to get a clear... I think he needs a clear-cut pass, doesn't he? Because Langevelt's not really giving him any place. Covering the inside, Nick can try and get a better exit. Langevelt's learning the spots where he needs to be defensive. I agree that sim racing is definitely more exciting than the gym. So anyone that's trying to get a wheel past their misses, that's maybe a tactic you could use. It's good for the arms. Got to drive open formula cars or something though to really get the forces up. So I think this battle's destined to go either to the end of the race and then a big accident, or we're finally going to see a mistake from someone for this podium position. But it's all about the third place at the moment. Let's just go back and look at some of the rest of the field. We've got Farrant closing on both for 10th position. He's got that gap down to 4/10. Who else have we got? Haynes, who pitted early and jumped quite a few places. I think when he come out of the pits, he was in 14th or 15th place, now into the top 10. Lisha's dropped back because he was running 5th before the pit stops. Got a bit of damage on the front of that AMG, so he's seen some action whilst we've been following the guys up front. Wonder what's happened there, because Haynes and Sterner have managed to jump him. I think Lisha's maybe had some action we've missed, unfortunately. Nick's just dropped back, maybe do a few clean laps, get some rhythm, and then have another go again. Doesn't want to give Langeveldt too much opportunity for clean air and not having to defend, though, because I think it was costing them time. Haynes is just starting to catch up Stern for 5th position. So he's made gains from the start. Yeah, Sterner's definitely caught up with those two. It's not surprising the amount of fighting we've seen, and it's allowed Stain to just sail away in 2nd position. Very, very boring race for him. I'm sure he won't mind too much. Clark is used to a boring race, but Marcus won't be. Sailing away in 2nd place with a 10-second gap back to Langeveldt in 3rd, who's always going to struggle to catch up when he's got Nick all over his rearview mirror. Haynes is consistently catching Stern, though, for 5th place. Almost got within the 1-second window. Obviously, Marcus's teammate here. We're just looking at the standings for the team championship. Obviously, we've got Ickle Racing in 1st place. But Timothy, there's a big battle for 2nd place between Rebel Ghostworks and Redline Valkyrie, which is Tim Haynes, Marcus Stain for Rebel Ghostworks, and Christopher Langeveldt and Devon Lisha. Obviously, that was a battle that had all of last season as well. As it stands at the moment, pretty level on points. Marcus in 2nd, Timothy in 6th, Langeveldt in 3rd, Lisha in 7th. So at the moment, you've got Ghostworks gaining a few points because they're currently completely tied on 171. So I think that'll certainly be a team championship fight that goes towards the end. Who can get 2nd if indeed Jim Clark does wrap it up this evening, which it does look quite likely will happen. We'll go back to Hodgson. He's got within 2/10 again. He's had a few laps to sit and think about what he wants to do. Now he's closed that gap right back up. Langeveldt's gone very wide. Seems to go very, very wide on that exit of turn 1. We have got a white line exception there for this evening, though, so that is allowed. Just want to be careful that it doesn't unsettle the car. Let's just go back on board with Hodgson as he tries to chase down Langeveld for that podium position. It's all about who can finish third here. It's only 11 laps remaining. Oh no, Nick's got too much curb, span it around. He'll be really upset with himself. Oh, and he keeps spinning. You can see the frustration. He's not getting off the throttle. He wants to be careful on track rejoin. He's dropped right back down into 6th place. That's very unfortunate. Probably got some damage on that BMW as well. Yeah, so Nick now finds himself. I said it would end in tears, didn't I? And that's exactly what's happened, unfortunately. It seemed to be inevitable that something would happen to one of those two drivers fighting for the podium. Nick's now got to try and recover if he hasn't got too much damage on that BMW. That puts Tim Haynes up into 5th place, tracking down Stern. So this team championship, if he can get past him, they could have a 2nd and 4th on here. Got a tight gap here with Governor on Swanepoel for 13th place. Audi versus the McLaren. Just popping back up to Haynes. He's got that gap down to 8 tenths now to Stern. It's been consistently coming down. Maybe only a tenth a lap, but it has come down. 10 laps to go. Lawrence has been incredibly consistent this season, probably one of the most improved drivers, I think. At GP, he's been superb. Obviously, Jim Clark as a partner maybe has helped him out. He's certainly starting to gain the same sort of consistency we've come accustomed to watching Clark. Swanepoel's managed to get that place over in Governor. They're side by side going down the back straight. Swanepoel on the inside line. Much space being left there. But he's managed to get the move stuck. Let's go back to Haynes. Battle for 4th position. So Haynes starts the lap 0.77 down. Let's just keep a note of that, see how much he closes it in this lap. Already gained a tenth just in the first 2 corners alone. Visualize the gap, see if he closes down the straight. Oh, makes a much better effort of that corner. Inside line into turn 7. And Haynes get the place. Moves up into 4th position. Very, very consistent driving towards the end of this race. He's gained places significantly from the start. So that puts Stein and Haynes second and fourth for the team championship. Good points. Oh, looks like Hodgson's had another off. Lost a couple more places. Oh, it's all going wrong for Hodgson. His tyres are finished. Such a shame. The opposite of what we've seen with him this season. He's been so consistent towards the end with the mistakes at the beginning, and then he gets a good start. And a couple errors at the end has cost him almost 10 places. Sterner is still battling with Haynes. He's come back at him. Let's watch the gap down the front straight to see whether Sterner can close Haynes into turn one. Certainly looks quite static at the moment. Here's the draft starting to take effect as we go into the braking zone of turn one. Sterner trying to send it up on the inside. So Haynes now needs to get his head down and try and build a gap because Sterner's not letting him have this one. In fact, he sent it up the inside down the back straight. Can he get it made? Tim's got the cut back. It's a great little battle we've got between these two. Sterner's certainly not wanting to give this place up for fourth. Tim's going to have to earn it. Try and get a good exit out of the carousel. Very, very difficult corner. Seems like it takes forever. You've got to be so patient to make sure you get that clean exit. Sterner will be fancying himself exit out of the last corner and then the drag race into turn one. It certainly worked well in the last lap. Just be careful to see how that gap closes down. Very, very close here. Let's go back above and see whether we can see this gap closing as they enter. You watch the gap stay so consistent until eventually the draft starts taking effect before turn one braking zone. Sterner then really starts to close in quite rapidly. Here he goes. Not enough this time round. This is where Stern got the move made in the previous lap, but he's a little bit further back this time, so I don't think he's going to be able to send it up the inside. No chance. 3/10 down. Tim's trying to get a clean lap in, try and break that toe. He's pushed it though. He's outbraked himself a bit there. Sterner on the inside into turn 7. Tim's going to have to leave him room on that inside. Manages to close the move off. Tim's really got to try and get a couple of clean laps in, try and break that toe. So Langevelt's now just off having a merry old time in third place. The podium positions seem pretty locked and loaded, so it's all down to who can finish fourth now. This is the battle on track at the moment. 6 laps to go. Gaps are forming across the field. This is certainly the fight we want to be watching. Stern exiting now. It's close up again. 3/10 behind Haynes. It's right on board with him. Haynes knows he doesn't have to cover that inside line, rather just trying to take a clean racing line that he's used to. A little bit wide there from Stern, lost time. That's where that sausage curb, if you go over both sides of it, can actually slow you down. I think this might be the lap that Haynes needs to try and break this toe. Yeah, just in those few corners, Haynes managed to stretch that gap down to 7/10. He made the pass cleanly, and then he's had to really fight for it for quite a few laps. Try and hold that fourth position. Stern hasn't given it to him, that's for sure. So let's just drop back down the field now and see how everyone else has gone. We've got YeloDesignCo has moved up into 8th place. Obviously, remember he's in the soft tyres and he pitted, what, lap 17, 18, I think. So he's now done 20 laps on those tyres. He's going to be tiptoeing round, I would think, towards the end. He has got a gap of nearly 5 seconds to Farrant, though, so Wesley might be trying to close him down, thinking he will lose time on those softs in the last few laps. Keep an eye on that. So that's 8th position, but he certainly did well during the pit stop phases, didn't he? That early pit stop, went onto the softs, he jumped a few positions. Jonathan's got himself up into 11th place. It's a very good drive from him. Trying to close down both. They're only a second. Oh, he's 12 seconds back, isn't he? So he's probably just trying to hold that position as he's not under pressure either. So probably looking to just cleanly finish the race. Further down, we've got Raymond Duggan still fighting with Swanepoel for that 14th position, half a second behind these, between these two. It's closing quickly though. Side by side is not the way you want to be into this braking zone. Certainly the Swanepoel's car is looking a little bit damaged. He's got a bent rear wing, so he's seen, and a cracked windscreen. He's certainly seen some entertainment that we've missed. Let's watch these two from above here. Yeah, he's struggling, isn't he? Swanepoel is way, way down on speed on the straights. Easy pass from Duggan there. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure where Swanepoel's damaged his car, but he certainly has. Had some off-track action. So Haynes has now managed to do exactly what he needs to do, put his head down, get some clean laps, just went through 25 dead. Stern with a 25.7 gave 7/10 on that lap alone. Enough to break the toe, and hopefully he can just carry on now and take his 4th position. Sterner in the background is running quite wide out turn 1, still pushing the matter. So for those taking notes in Division 2, Lamborghini on a soft tyre strategy. Certainly been good for Peter. Galdanez is made places. 8th position is not a bad if he can keep it there, but he's still got 4 laps remaining with some pretty used tyres. And Farrant was 4.6 seconds and is now closer to 3 seconds. So definitely those tyres are losing him time now. It's just whether he can get across that line. Wesley will be keeping an eye on the relative, I'm sure, and realising he's closing. As soon as you see that delta closing down, it gives you encouragement for the last few laps that you could gain a position. He's gained half a tenth already on this lap. So I'm pretty sure that Lamborghini's suffering on those softs that have done, what, 21 laps at this point. It's got 3 more to go. Always interesting when you've got 2 drivers on different strategies. Just a warning to the chat, we won't have any mention of the Springboks in my stream, thank you very much. I've had enough of those this weekend. I had to mute my phone for the whole weekend as it was. Still got a bitter Englishman here. So Wesley's got this gap down nearly to 2 seconds. So Galdanez he's really holding on to these soft tyres. Haven't seen much of Jim Clark apart from the start. We had a very exciting start to this race, first few laps, where Clark made a mistake into turn 1, dropped back into 4th position or 3rd position, I think, and then had to fight his way through the field. But he did manage to. He's patient with Stain, who put up an excellent fight in 2nd place for quite a significant period of time. Clark, when he got the pass made, though, and got clean air, he certainly showed his dominance once again. 30-second gap now. Very, very impressive considering he had to fight for the first 7 or 8 laps of the race. Let's perhaps just do a bit of on board and just admire the quality that is Jim Clark. Anyone want to copy the lines? I think this is the man you want to copy. Incredibly consistent, race in, race out. Yeah, perfect braking into turn 1. Push the exit though. He's got a 30-second gap, but he's certainly not lifting and coasting, is he? He wants to finish his championship in style. That'll be 4 wins out of 4 for Jim Clark. If he can finish this last 2 laps, will mean that he doesn't need to enter the Brands Hatch race. So everyone else here will be hoping that he books an early holiday and they can fight for a win at Brands Hatch in a month's time. Let's just pop back to see how Geldnes is holding on to those soft tyres. He's managed to stabilise that gap now at 2.2. It's only got a lap to go. I think he's managed to do the damage with those soft tyres at the start. Hopefully he will hold out. It's always nice to see a different strategy paying off. Not so much when it doesn't, unfortunately, which is usually when I try a different strategy. Got Hodgson that's unfortunately found himself down in 14th place. I think BMW may be suffering a bit. It looks like the damage may be repaired though, so he might have had an additional pit stop. I didn't see... But yeah, he's on the soft tyres now, so he's pitted for softs. Obviously, he did suffer quite a bit of damage hitting the wall. He's decided to change tyres and repair his car. Which probably explain why he's got a fastest lap time of a 2:04.0. So maybe he's thinking I'll try and get quickest lap. He's got 2:03.77 to beat from Jim Clark. Down on his delta this lap, so he's only got one more to do. Meanwhile, final lap. Jim Clark enters the final lap. Comfortable lead in the end. He did have to work for it this time out. It wasn't all leading from the front like the previous races. Christopher Langeveld certainly had to work for his podium position. He was fighting for a good few laps with Hodgson earlier in the race, but since then it's been clean driving and sailing into the distance. Haynes has made that 4th place his as well. That initial pressure from Stern has faded, and he's pulled that gap to 3 seconds for his 4th place. As Jim Clark goes around the carousel for the last time. Down to Canada corner braking for the very last time. Even with a 31 second gap on the final lap, he's still only half a second off his best delta. Pushes right to the end. Up the main straight, and Jim Clark once again crosses the finish line for a fantastic win. Earned that one. Wasn't easy. So great win, and that's the championship on a maximum points tally. 4 wins in a row. Very well done to Jim Clark. Mark Costain also excellent drive. He had a very good first stint. He managed to hold Jim Clark behind him for a good 5-6 laps. Took the pressure, didn't make a mistake, was passed purely on pace. But very good, well worth his 2nd position. Well done to him. Christopher Langeveld will come through to complete the podium places. It was a little bit in doubt there for a while, wasn't it, with Hodgson? But he kept his cool, didn't make the mistake that Hodgson did, and he's managed to finish the podium places. Tim Haynes gained places throughout that race, so he'll be happy with 4th place. Well done to Haynes. Sterner closely follows by in 5th. Good drive from him. Lisha, we didn't see too much of. Certainly that we missed some sort of action with Lisha, so it'll be interesting to see what happened there. He gets 6th place. Henbury had a very quiet race. Didn't see much of his, but he snuck through in 7th. Got a very clean Audi, so that's maybe how he got that. Aldenez is just going to hold that place. Oh, very close at the end. Only 7/10 behind Farron. So very good to see a soft strategy work for a 7th position. Note there maybe for Wednesday. Both will take 10th. Jonathan Bentz finishes out the top. Oh no, he's 11th position. Governor will come through in 12th. So that concludes our 2019.2 race at Road America. It's been a great race, certainly some great action. Thanks for joining me, and we look forward to the next one at Brands Hatch. We'll see you there.